Hey everyone, this is Seth Klebe, the host of Watch the Tech. I am joined by Paul Kapombasis, the CRO of MongoDB. And before we hit record, we were actually just starting to have a conversation about AP that I was like, we got to just start recording and talk about this. So we'll do that and then we'll dive in. But all right, so you own an AP, but you're not crazy about it. Why are you not crazy about it? And what's the specific one you have?
I have a 41 millimeter Royal Oak with a gray dial, which I really like. I like the dial. I think what's hard if you're in the watch game and you have an interest in collecting watches is it's very hard unless you're incredibly connected, right, into the different brands to be able to try different watches on. Like the only place that I would know that you could do that I've seen is in New York on 47th Street, right? I mean, they sell everything in there. But if you were interested in a particular Rolex model or AP model or, I mean, any of the sort of high-end brands that are hard to get, you're never going to be able to walk into one of their stores and try a bunch of different models on, right? You either have to go to one of those resellers in the gray market, and or if you want to buy it online. I've found that I admired certain pieces for a long time, and then when they put them on my wrist, I've kind of fell out of love with them, right?
Yeah.
So
No, totally.
it's a very hard thing. Like, especially like there's so many different brands of Rolexes that it makes it very difficult. Like just even getting into the Rolex store, you got to wait in line or have an appointment. That's what makes the hobby more difficult unless you're willing to put a lot of time and investment into creating relationships at some of these boutiques.
Especially at that level where you want to go buy an AP or something.
Yeah. When I bought the AP, I was buying another watch at the time on the gray market, a white gold Rolex Daytona with the black dial, which I really love. And I
Yeah.
was there in the moment they had one. I tried it on. I'm like, I'll take it. And I get back home. I really, for the last year and a half, didn't appreciate it. And then just, in the last 2 weeks, I put it on my wrist for a week and said, I'm just going to, try to get used to this thing. And
Yeah.
I started gaining more and more appreciation for it, right? Yeah. So it's not that I don't like it now, but I didn't like it as much as I thought at first, and it's growing on me,
Sure.
right?
Sure. And so the AP that you did ultimately get, it's grown on you. I actually remember we had this conversation a couple years ago. It might have been a kickoff or a training where we were talking about AP and you'd said like you didn't like the like super industrial
Yeah.
shapes and build of it. Does that still reign true today for you, or have you softened on that?
Yeah. I think everybody goes through their own metamorphosis as you jump into this hobby. I think when I first started out, I was much more into the really large watches, right? Like my first watch was an Omega Deep Sea. Sorry, yeah, an Omega. I can't remember what it's even called now, but the really
The thick
super thick one.
diver. Yeah,
That
yeah.
was my first watch, and I've ended up selling it. But I wore that thing for 3 or 4 years. It was the only watch that I had, and then I kind of got into that. And then I bought a Rolex James Cameron, which it's a beautiful face on that thing.
Right.
And now I have
That's the deep sea.
that's the
That's what
deep
they
sea.
call that one,
Yeah,
right?
that's the deep sea. And over time, I think for many people in this hobby, their tastes refine over a certain period of time, right? Like I'm a sports watch guy. I'm not a leather strap person, but certainly like my taste in sports watches has decreased in the actual size, over
Okay.
time.
Sure.
Like I used to think a 40 mil was too small, and now I kind of think it's the perfect size, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sizes have also wildly fluctuated since I got into the game. My first watch is an Omega Globemaster. It's a 39
Yeah.
millimeter. I was kind of looking for that all-encompassing type of watch at the time. I still have it, and I wear that at least once a week. But I've gone as far up to 42, and then my smallest watch, which is a Patek Calatrava, is 35
Wow.
millimeters. Yeah, so it's smaller. However, it actually wears larger, and that's because the crystal takes up like right to the border
Right.
of the case. So it just appears like it's bigger, like it's more legible.
Is that a newer model or that's like an older?
It's a early 2000s.
Yeah,
It's like a 2005, 2007.
right. Because now today those are like all 39.
Yeah, they've definitely gone up. And then of course they protected the 45 millimeter cubitus,
Yeah,
that newer watch, which is it's a beast. Like it like goes over my wrist by a mile.
which is actually goes in contrast to what's happening in the industry where people are going back to more sort of reasonable size watches versus making bigger ones. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that at all. I've never tried one on, but just aesthetically, it just doesn't appeal to me.
When I had my guest on from AP, which actually I'm not even technically supposed to say they worked there. I had to bleep out every time I said AP from that episode. It was a whole ordeal. Anyways, I borrowed a friend's RD3, which is a like $150,000 Royal Oak flying tourbillon. The thing's insane. The 39 was too big for my
Right.
wrist. It actually was. But after that episode, I was like, can I find a smaller Royal Oak of some variety? I just kind of got the itch, and I looked through their entire catalog, and I probably picked like the weirdest AP that I could find. It's very much a love it or hate it. It's their music edition from 2022.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes. So that's the one that I ended up buying. It's a Royal Oak Offshore. It's 37.
Is it really?
It's a 37. They do a larger size too, but I got it in a 37. I got to try it on I was in Miami for work. I got to try it on after a bunch of like meetings, and I just looked at it and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta buy this. I gotta like find a way to buy this thing, and it fits so good.
Is that at the boutique?
No, they this size they only did 500. So they were all sold. Mine was in someone's safe, untouched, unworn
Yeah.
for like years.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that must have cost a lot of money.
Sell a lot of software, so
Right.
it balances out. It balances out. What's on your wrist today, Cap?
What's on my wrist today is a
Yeah, please.
gargantuan watch. So
Okay.
this is a pen flyback. It's really meant for people who are in the sailing game, right? So the flyback is, I guess, the complication of the flyback is when you're sailing and you're in a race, they typically sound the gun and it gives you 5 minutes before you start. And it's a 5-minute flyback. So
Okay.
specifically for the start of a sailing race. That's what I understood anyway. And so this was
Okay.
my earlier large purchases. This is like a 47.
Okay. Could you actually like bring it up to the screen? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen one of these.
Go on. Can you here you go.
There we go. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I had one of these. I bought it retail years ago, and then it was too big, and I just said, I'm going to get rid of it. So I did. And then I just repurchased this one, which is the exact same watch, right? Just had a kind of a funkier strap. And I like big watches when either you have a short sleeve shirt or you're at the beach. I find I just like the chunkier look. But if I have a sleeve on, I would never wear this watch size again, kind of thing.
Right.
Fit into a sleeve and it just looks too big. But when it just sits, on your wrist without a sleeve, I like the aesthetics of it, And it's kind of like a beater summer beach watch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And I love a rubber strap too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Huge.
It's
So comfy.
cool. I think even for a Panerai, I think it's a pretty unique model.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're twinning a little bit here. I'm not wearing a Panerai today. I'm wearing my Rolex Yachtmaster, but
Yes.
it has that similar
Yeah.
blue
Yeah. I have that one.
secondhand.
Yeah. Great watch.
Yes, you do have that. And I don't know if you remember this, but like 4.5 years ago when I interviewed with you,
Yeah.
I happened to be wearing this and you happened to have yours on.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't remember that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Did our 45-minute interview maybe contain 15 to 20 minutes of talking about watches? It might have. Is that the sole reason why I was hired to MongoDB? I mean, who's to say?
Well, it's not
Who's to
the
say?
That's for sure. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. So that must have been
I
during COVID if it was 4.5 years ago.
Yes, that was COVID. By that point, in Atlanta especially, like no one was going back into the office.
Right. Well, that's when the watch craze was at its peak, right? I mean, people were sitting around their homes, they couldn't leave their homes, looking for things to do, and then the whole watch game just was taken to a completely next level, right? Amazing.
Oh yeah. Just all that money sitting on the sidelines. Oh, I can't go to Europe this year, so I'm just gonna go buy a paddock.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what translates. Yeah. So crazy. But well, you're not afraid of buying something on the gray market. So you've probably seen like the ups and downs. I think the market's starting to like really correct, which is fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah. Yes, I bought mainly gray. You know, when I bought my first Omega, I bought it retail. And then somehow I bought the deep sea at a Rolex dealership. It was a complete fluke. It was like they must have had one coming in. I'm just trying to think like when it to COVID, it was probably just either right at the end or right at the beginning, because I know it was at a shopping mall. But since then, and then I developed a really strong liking for Vacheron overseas. And, you know, I remember before COVID, I could have picked one up retail, no problem. They were sitting in the window.
Yeah.
Everything exploded during COVID, and the overseas to me is like the most underappreciated of the sort of the holy trinity, right?
Yes.
And you can buy them retail, and that has an appeal to me as well. And so, but during and after COVID, they were somewhat unattainable, and it's now kind of back to normal. I bought a really expensive model when I was promoted to CRO, and that's kind of changed the relationship at the boutique for me, right? So I kind of have a really
Okay.
good relationship with them right now.
Okay. Love that. So which Vacheron did you treat yourself to when you moved into CRO?
Yeah, it's a white gold perpetual calendar skeleton. Yeah, like
Chef's kiss.
41 mil. And so I have three of those now, which it's my favorite watch. Again, I have the AP. I don't have a Nautilus. I mean, those are the three that kind of compare against one another.
Right.
I just love that watch. And yeah, so now I have the ability to go in. I was just in the boutique a week ago. I had to get the thing reset. They're complicated watches. And it's just kind of crazy how things have changed, right? The ebbs and flows. And even since COVID, like Rolex was very hard. And I've since developed a relationship at one of the Rolex boutiques where I've started purchase two watches there over the last 9 months, right? But you have to go for the models, or hopefully you're going for the models that are attainable. Even with Rolex, like things have come back to a more realistic situation where, you can get watches now or
Yeah.
starting.
Yeah. Well, that's just inspiring. Go become CRO, get basically top tier Vacheron. It's just that easy, right?
Well, it's not that easy.
No, of course not. Of
Not
course
close
not.
enough about it.
I'm
But
joking. Well, she obviously needs a watch too. It's only fair.
and we did that.
Balance. There we go. What did she get?
Well, we were on vacation in Turks and Caicos, and we were in a Rolex boutique, and they had a rose gold date with the olive green dial, and she wasn't crazy about it, but we went in. They said no, nothing's available. We went back the next day and they're like, well, maybe we could do something for you. Let me make some calls. And we ended up getting it. She wasn't even sure if she really liked it. And I said, if we can get one of these at retail, I mean, we got to get it. And she ended up getting it. And it's like her favorite piece of jewelry now. Like she never takes it off. Right. Yeah.
It's a
But like
beautiful watch.
a 40 mil day, a really, really nice one. So I love those watches too.
Oh yeah. They're incredible. And the numerals, how they're like forged so perfectly and how they play with the light. Yeah, it's an amazing watch. And I really love that she's wearing a 40
Yeah.
because that would be traditionally considered a man's size watch, but I just think there's something super powerful about a woman wearing a larger watch. It's just
Yeah.
so cool. It's unique. It's really unique.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. She kind of wears chunky jewelry with it. It's a whole look, but
It's a whole look.
she's really kind of grown into it and really appreciates it.
That's awesome. I love that. So I have made a promise to myself since joining Observe, I'm not going to buy another watch until either we go public or get acquired, some form of liquidity event. So I've been drafting up this like long list of wish list watches as one does. And for me, the Vacheron Overseas Dual Time
Yeah.
or the Vacheron Overseas Tourbillon with the blue dial
Oof.
and the peripheral rotor. I love that peripheral rotor. I'm like, those are like two very high up on my list.
Well, one is considerably more expensive than the other.
That is true. Depends on the liquidity event.
That's good. I have a dual tone with the blue face, right? Like that's the colors of that watch, like the blue overseas, the even the black, right? It's an amazing black. And I
Yeah.
just love the dials there. But that dual time it's a gorgeous watch. It's 41 mil. It's not too big.
Yeah.
It definitely wears smaller than the AP, which is the same size.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they just started tapering the bracelets a little bit more too. So
Yeah.
it's even more refined, like the newer models. And I love being able to change like OEM straps that
Yeah.
they give you. So having a leather, having a rubber, the steel, and I think it's still understated enough where I would feel reasonably comfortable wearing it internationally. Probably not to England though, the watch theft capital of the world, but anywhere else. Anywhere else.
You gotta watch out. There's no doubt. I travel internationally. I never travel with my best watches ever.
Yeah, you can't.
No, I mean
Cannot do it.
there's no point taking the risk.
Yeah, and then you're thinking about it, and like, I don't want, if I'm in Prague or something, I don't want to think about it. I just want to go.
Well, there's also the fact if you go work out, say, and you want to leave your watch in your room. This is years ago. My first watch as I started collecting, I would say in present time, right, was that Omega. But in 1998, there was some event as to why this happened. Maybe it was my 30th birthday or something like that. And my parents gave me an Omega Speedmaster, which I love. Like, I love that watch. And I wore it for several years. And this is prior to me getting into watches. It was just like I was a one watch person, loved it. And 3 years later, I'm in LA at a hotel and I go to work out and I come back and my watch is nowhere to be found. I left it in my room like an idiot. And it was stolen. And there was even the response from the hotel was not very good. They could have done some kind of investigation. I mean, there was someone
Yeah.
in the room who walked in and took it because I must have just left it on the desk. If I ever leave my room now in a hotel, which I'm in almost every week, if ever I leave and my watch is not going with me, it's in a safe.
Has to be. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have the money at the time to replace it, right? But and then I kind of was out of the watch game until a few years later. But I love that watch. I really loved it.
Yeah. Oh, I bet I couldn't even imagine. That crazy story though. So I was just in New York for work and staying at a, pretty nice normal hotel, and I'm gone all day. I come back later at night and the door is actually open from with the deadbolt like exposed. And I'm like, what the F? And oh, actually it's my podcast. I can say what the fuck. Isn't that awesome? It's so cool. I forget sometimes I can just swear on this thing. But I go and I open the door and I pretty much travel with like two watches now. My Panerai, I have a Luminor Due 42 millimeter. That's kind of my travel watch.
Yeah.
And I walk in, it is in my safe, but I'm like, I have a Sonos speaker, my Kindle, other valuables out. And luckily, nothing was taken. Safe was totally fine, but I had to message the hotel and be like, how is this allowed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy.
So
Yeah,
crazy.
you can't be too careful these days for sure, right? Because
Totally.
20 years ago,
Totally.
most people wouldn't know one watch from the other. I think even non-watch people, they recognize these things more than they used to in the past, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, not only from COVID, but that TV show, Your Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm,
Yeah.
half the show is him not only stealing watches like a Nautilus and like a Richard Mille, but they literally show on the screen some of the stats of the watch.
Right.
So you're learning, yeah. So it's like a normal layperson's learning about it through watching John Hamm on TV.
It's great. I didn't know that. I haven't
Yeah.
watched
Oh,
about it that. See it again.
it's a good show. It also gets pretty dark at times, but would recommend.
Right.
Last watch question for you, Cap. I think people would be really interested to know, like, as someone who does get watches from the gray market, like, where do you kind of shop around when you're going gray?
Yeah, good question. So this Panerai I bought on Chrono because there were only a certain number of them out there. And it's not a very common watch. And I kind of knew what I wanted and I knew what the pricing was. Like I felt pretty comfortable and I'd worn it before. So I knew exactly what I was getting, right? But originally, the gray market guy was in New York in the Diamond District, like, where you see all the stores.
Yes.
Somebody, I don't know how I met him. I just can't remember, but someone introduced me to the guy. I went online and I looked at the reviews, great reviews, very trustworthy. And he was in one of those buildings, but like up 8 floors. So he had like an office that you would go into. There was watches everywhere versus he wasn't on the street with a retail store.
Right.
And so that made me feel better because he just seemed to be more trustworthy. I've been to the guys on the ground floor, and it's hilarious. Someone had given me a referral. This guy, so I bought a couple of watches off of him. That was the first time. I think I bought 2 off of Chrono, not expensive ones. I wouldn't buy expensive watches off of Chrono because you just never know. And then somehow another intro in London, which is where I bought my AP and this white gold Rolex. I don't know who introduced me to this guy, but he kind of was just starting out in the business. And I met with them. I tried the watches on. And so it's not that I've chosen to go gray market. It's if there are certain watches that I want. So for instance, the white gold Rolex Daytona, which I bought in the UK, you're just never going to get one of those retail. Or certainly at that time, that was a couple of years ago, right? So, if you don't have the choice, I mean, going gray, to me, it has to be a face-to-face because you want to go try it on versus if I buy something for $10,000 off of Chrono, if I make a mistake, I can resell the thing. I'm not going to get killed. But if you're doing it with an expensive watch, you have to develop a relationship and a trust with whoever's selling this to you. You want to make sure they're legit, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
You like from a gray watch perspective. I mean, you've bought gray before as well, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I wanted to ask because when I had Lou on, the former CEO at New Relic, I was amazed to find out that pretty much all of his gray watches came from Chrono 24.
Yeah. Well,
It's great.
it's a trusted site. So like you're not theoretically you shouldn't get scammed if they're legitimate dealers, which most of them are, but there's got to be some illegitimate dealers that
Yeah, there has to be a margin for it. It is cool though. Now you can actually pay a little bit extra and they ship it to an authenticator first before it makes its way to you. I haven't tried that service yet, but that's a cool thing. eBay actually does that as well. Now they've built out quite a legit watch resell business. But yeah, so I have done Chrono. I actually bought this off of eBay, and anytime I do buy a watch from Gray, I will always go and get it separately authenticated. So that's like my extra step just to be sure. Right. Because you never know until you know. And then I have a relationship with a guy out in Colorado called Rocky Mountain Watches. He actually used to be former Apti and then Grafana, and now he's fully in the watch world. So he helped source the AP Music Edition for me, and he's done some work with some other friends. So just someone I would totally go back to again and again, 100%.
I mean, especially if you're spending big bucks on a watch, you have to do your due diligence, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, cool. So shifting maybe just a little bit here, completely out of watches and into technology. You've had an incredible career. I mean, starting at BMC, or no, PTC first. There's a lot of alphabet soup companies, so I gotta like nail this. But
Yes.
PTC, then BMC, then you've also spent time at AppD. There's two others in between them,
Splunk.
and Splunk as well, yes. And then an amazing run with many different roles at MongoDB. It's safe to say, like, you've understood the progression of, I think, sales from where it's really started with software to also where it is today. So I would be curious to know, as a sales leader myself, like, what are some of those top skills that you still look for, like when you're going and hiring someone that you want to bring into Mongo?
Skills or characteristics? Those are two different things.
They are. Could we do like one of both?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you from a characteristic standpoint, because it hasn't changed for me, is intelligence, desire, and coachability. If your parents haven't given you the intelligence thing by the age of 16, we're not going to make you any smarter, right? We could have the best enablement organization in the world, but the smarter you are, the quicker you learn, the quicker you ramp, right? And so it's just really important to have enough of a brain to absorb what it is that you're trying to sell and how you're trying to sell, whatever it might be, right? Desire in that I can't be there every day to go motivate you. And either you've got that motivation and you've got the motivation to get out there and do it every day, or you don't. So I can't affect one and I can't affect number two. Those are two characteristics that I absolutely feel are like table stakes. And then the third, which is coachability, it's almost the most important one. And I would lump in there curiosity, because whatever company you go to, they're going to put you through a certain amount of training to get you ramped up, right? But how much are you willing to suffer to absorb more, right? I mean, anytime you join a company, there's a certain amount of suffering. I mean, in the technology game, technology is very complex. And how much extra time are you dedicating to your craft versus just the table stakes that the company gives you? And it's the people that go over and above and beyond, right? That are constantly wanting to learn and constantly wanting to get better and sharpening their sword. Nobody knows everything in any business, specifically the tech business. We can all get better. Like, the landscape changes all the time, and there are nuances to it that over time take over the older way of doing things, right? And that's certainly happened. Like, the industry has matured since I got into the business. I mean, when I got in 30 years ago, I mean, it was like being in the military, right? I mean, at that time, it was like blue suit, no striped shirts, a white or blue shirt, and so on and so forth. Like, it was, you've gone from that to people working out of their homes. Do you know what I mean? Which was, and case in point, way back in the day at PTC, almost 25 years ago, you would never have a beard. Like, it was never an acceptable thing. That was like an industry standard. But I just find that intelligence, desire, and coachability are like the three key characteristics that I would look for. And then if those things exist, then it's on me, right, to enable you and to do everything we can do as a company to make you successful. And so that's, I guess, maybe to answer the first part of the question. And, the second part of the question, skills, like, I don't even know if it's skills. I kind of go back to like characteristics like tenacity and curiosity. And
Yeah.
you bring those things to the table. Like, skills is like, okay, do you have the skill of ever having sold to an enterprise before versus an SMB, right? And have you followed a sales process before? Do you understand how to qualify? Like, these are kind of skills that you have. Do you have the skill of being able to build a champion and build relationships? Those are all like incredibly important things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think skills you can teach, characteristics, or, you kind of are who you are, right? And that's why people can often put too much emphasis on the skills and not enough emphasis on the characteristics. But in my experience, I would say the reason why people have failed, right, or not succeeded in places where I've worked is more been around not having the right characteristics versus not having the right skills.
Right. So well said. Yeah, I agree with you. If you have the characteristics, you can be taught the skills. Now,
Yes.
of course, right, like, depending on the profile that you're hiring for, you might need a certain baseline of the
For sure.
skills. as well, of course.
Look,
Right.
the skill of,
But
do you know how to cold call? Do you know how to prospect? Do you know how to go
right,
find opportunities, right? I mean, skills around hunting, skills around farming, two very different things, right? If you can do both,
right.
you're a superstar. If you can only do one, it doesn't mean that you can't be really good, but having both of those skills, I mean, that's pretty key to success.
Yeah. Yeah. No, super well said. Great perspective there, Cap. Awesome. On that note, we can actually wrap this up. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time, like out of your day, to meet with me, and it's just so great to see you as well and get to shamelessly talk about watches the entire time. So
Yeah, I
truly
mean,
a pleasure.
I love talking watches, and I love spending time with you, brother. So I appreciate inviting me to the podcast.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I gotta get like Sahir, Dave.
Yeah.
They're on my hit list for sure. They're right up there with Benioff. Thank you guys, everyone, for watching today. Really appreciate it. Please, if you're not already, like and subscribe to the show. It means a lot. And please, will some black t-shirt company sponsor me already? That would be super great.